You know, it's kind of funny, it's just to look up urban legends. All over the world, there's some fascinating ones. Some seem a bit creepy, others just seem a little silly. Today, I wanted to share one that they have here on the wikis about the Hookman. Now, I want to make it clear that we're not talking about the hookup man, because this guy doesn't want to hook up with anyone. But Wikipedia has some fun details about this legend, so let me narrate it for you and see if we can learn something from it. Yes, I mean literally learn how to make Halloween in 2021 more grotesque than the previous years before that. The Hookman is an urban legend about a killer with a pirate-like hook for a hand, attacking a couple in a parked cart. So spooky, right? The story is thought to date from at least the mid-1950s and gained significant attention when it was reprinted in the advice column Dear Abby in 1960. It has since become a morality archetype in popular culture and has been referenced in various horror films. So about the legend, they stated the following. The basic premise involves a young couple cuddling in a car with the radio playing. Suddenly a news bulletin reports that a serial killer has just escaped from a nearby institution. The killer has a hook. For varying reasons, they decide to leave quickly. In the end, the killer's hook is either found hanging from the door handle or embedded into the door itself. Different variations include a scraping sound on the car door. Some versions start the same way, but have the couple spotting the killer, warning others, and then narrowly escaping with the killer holding onto the car's roof. In another version, the woman sees a shadowy figure watching the couple from nearby. The man leaves to confront the figure, who then suddenly disappears. Thinking that as they just imagined it, the man returns to the car, only to see that the woman has been brutally murdered with a hook. In an alternate version, the couple drive through an unknown part of the country late at night and stop in the middle of the woods, because either the man has to urinate or the car breaks down, and the man leaves for help. While waiting for him to return, the woman turns on the radio and hears the report of an escaped mental patient. She is then disturbed many times by a thumping on the roof of the car. She eventually exits and sees the escaped patient sitting on the roof, banging the man's severed head on it. Another variation has the woman seeing the man's butchered body suspended upside down from a tree, with his fingernails scraping against the roof. In another version of this variation, he's hanging right side up, and either his blood is dripping on the roof or his feet are scraping against the roof. Now, there's even more versions. The man, because this one they stated the man does return to the car only to see his date brutally murdered with a hook embedded in her. Other tales have the woman leaving the car when her date doesn't come back, only to see his mutilated body either on the car's roof, nailed on a tree, or just a few short steps away. As she starts to panic, she runs into the maniac and is also killed. In another variation of the story, the woman is discovered by police. While being escorted to safety, she is warned not to look behind her. When she does so, she sees the grisly aftermath of the man's murder. A similar legend recounts that a young couple are heading back from a great date when their car breaks down, either from running out of fuel or malfunction. The man then decides to head off on foot to find someone to help with the problem while the woman stays behind in the car. She then falls asleep while waiting and wakes up to see a hideous person looking at her through the window. Luckily, the car is locked, so the person can't get inside. But to the woman's horror, the person raises both of his arms to reveal that they are holding her date's severed head in one hand and the car keys in the other. The fate of the woman is never revealed. Man, that's creepy right there. Didn't that kind of scare you? Well, it's kind of weird though, not gonna lie. Like, who would even be sleeping in a car in the middle of the woods? Well, I guess, it's better than sleeping outside of it, but it's kind of like those typical cliche horror movies where they make stupid decisions all over the place and you're just yelling to your TV, why are you doing that? Don't do it. Are you stupid, man? Like, this is kind of such a scenario. Leave the woman behind, just leave somebody else behind while you just go off on your own into the darkness of the night. And then, what do you know, your head flies back to the car from which it came. Now, what about the origins of the Hook legend? Well, according to the wikis, it's not entirely known. Though according to folklorist and historian Jan Harold Bronvent, the story began to circulate sometime in the 1950s in the United States. According to Bronvent in The Vanishing Hitchhiker, American Urban Legends and Their Meanings, the story had become widespread amongst American teenagers by 1959 and continued to expand into the 1960s. Snopes writer David Mickelson had speculated that the legend might have roots in real-life Lover's Lane's murders, such as the 1946 Texarkana Moonlight Murders. The first known publication of the story occurred on November 8, 1960, when a reader letter telling the story was reprinted in Dear Abby, a popular advice column, and it stated the following. Dear Abby, if you're interested in teenagers, you will print this story. I don't know whether it's true or not, but it doesn't matter because it served a purpose for me. A fellow and his date pulled into their favorite Lover's Lane to listen to the radio and do a little necking. Sounds fancy. The music was interrupted by an announcer who said there was an escaped convict in the area who had served time for rape and robbery. He was described as having a hook instead of a right hand. The couple became frightened and drove away. When the boy took his girl home, he went around to open a car door for her. Then he saw a hook on the door handle. I will never park to make out as long as I live. I hope this does the same for other kids. Jeanette. Well, that's kind of a wild story, isn't it? Is that really true? Well, it already sounds kind of stupid, but alright, it's just an urban legend, don't worry. Literary scholar Christopher Pitter traces the plot dynamics of the legend to the Victorian literature, particularly the 1913 horror novel The Lodger by Mary Adelaide Belloc Lowndes. Though the two narratives have little in common, he notes that both are built upon a threefold relationship of crime, dirt, and chance. Such a reading also implies a reconsideration of the historical trajectory of the urban legend, usually read as a product of postmodernist consumer culture. Well. And that is all they actually had to say about this mysterious Hookman legend. Now, honestly, I've never heard of this legend over here in Europe, because we might have similar legends across the world, but this one, a guy with a hook, man, it doesn't sound scary. It more sounds like, is that perhaps Jack Sparrow's twin brother that went insane or some shit? Like, man, better be careful of the next guy you see walking around near the sea having a hook for an arm. It might be him. These pirates, man, they're crazy. They're insane. I'm glad piracy is illegal. Let's not indulge in it any longer. What am I even talking about? Piracy happens all the time. Trust me, I don't know anything about that. Anyways, that's all I have to share based on this article. So maybe you'll have dreams about it, maybe you won't, or maybe you'll even be able to meet the Hookman for yourself. And if you do, be sure to take a picture, because he sure must be handsome. Let's be honest about that. Now, as always, dear viewer, have sweet dreams.